We're at Learning Technologies 2012 and I'm with Joanne Jacobs, who is here to talk about social learning. Joanne, can you give us a quick run through the types of things you'll be covering today?
Well, I'm specifically looking at social media as an institution, and I use that word very, very broadly, as an institution for learning, because it's not just the technologies themselves that facilitate learning, it's also about how the technologies are changing the way that we behave. And because we're behaving differently, we're learning differently from each other. And that's really crucial to how we're actually going about changing workplace practices and how we're about accumulating knowledge. But even in this morning's session with Edward de Bono, we were talking about the possibility of technology as being reactionary, or it encourages reactionary thinking. Actually, if we think a little carefully about how we deploy these technologies, we can create a very robust and comfortable learning environment.
Now, lots of L&D people might be facing big challenges around the types of technology they can use within the organisation. What kind of advice do you give to people around that?
Well, if it comes down to how you actually stop people from banning technologies, I'm afraid that horse has already bolted, because ultimately, if you've got a mobile phone, you have access to social media technologies regardless of whether corporations or organisations have banned access. So, this is not just for a corporate sector as well, it's also from the learning sector for children in schools. Most kids will have access to technologies that will give them access to social media. And schools that try and ban access in many respects are, if anything, they are holding their kids back from utilising a peer learning tool.
And I'd just like to pick up on one final thing. You talked about social learning and social media tools are changing the way we behave. So what kind of behaviours are we now seeing around learning using these tools?
What we're seeing is the development of trust networks. So these trust networks grow up, we build them ourselves, we create a group of people that we respond to and that we trust as sources of information. And this has actually changed where we're seeking authoritative information from. We used to look for encyclopedias, we used to look for professors who were well published in an area. Now we actually look at people who are curating content that is going to be valuable to us. So this is actually efficient in terms of how we're actually bringing together information, but it's also quite useful in the development of our communication skills.
So this will be about enabling people in organisations to start to curate information themselves.
Yeah, and it's about ensuring that the way that we deploy the technologies is going to encourage that process rather than just encouraging wasting time.
Joanne Jacobs, thanks very much.
Thank you.